Everyone, this is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the NautilusDryDocks.com. Thanks for joining me. Going live. This is the evening of Thursday, November the 8th, 2018. Wanted to show you what I got going on in the shop and field. Any questions, comments, observations that you might have about this awesome hobby of RC Submarine. So feel free to use the chat feature if you have any questions. I'll do my very best to get to them. What I usually do to kick things off is kind of run through projects that I got on the workbench. You can see the big one right behind me there. That is a 1/30th scale German Type 21 U-boat. It's almost 9 feet long. It's going to be the biggest submarine that I have ever constructed. It's going to have a lot of cool features. Let's take a quick look at it here. It's in black primer right now. If you took a look at the last video that I did on it, you saw that I did a bunch of filling, a bunch of sanding. This is level 2 of the primer. You can see some areas that I have to touch up. I installed these templates in here, these flood grates. And these were plastic sheets that I routed into the hull and filled to make sure that I get a really good, crisp, clean outline on there. So again, you can see a lot of areas that I'm going to need to touch up. But the issue is that you need to do this over and over and over again. It is not a one-step process. Takes a lot of work to get done. So just as a little bit of an overview, this model is going to have a lot of really cool operational features, including retracting bow planes, operational torpedo tube doors, 6, hopefully, operational torpedoes, operational periscopes, LED lighting, and all sorts of cool things like that. Also on the bench, I got a 96 scale Submarine Works Ohio class submarine. This is a intercontinental ballistic missile submarine. Also had a preliminary video out on that. Catch that if you want to learn a little bit more about this project. But I've been chopping up the hull, getting ready to start installing bulkheads. I've got a custom 3.5-inch OTW dive module coming to power this one with a 14-inch ballast tank. This is a big boat. It's almost 6 feet long, and one of the big challenges that I had is that customer wanted to have a carry case, a custom carry case, and in order for us to fit in the one that we wanted to use, the model needs to be less than 53 inches long. So got some creative cuts going on there. In the background, you can also see another monster hull. That thing is about 68 inches long, if I remember correctly, with like a 9-inch beam. This is a 1/100th scale Russian Typhoon model kit that I am hopefully going to be bringing out to market here in conjunction with Bob Dimack from OTW in the next few months. I'm going to have a really creative way of scribing it, so you're going to have to take a look at that and seeing how it's done, because rather than doing the traditional scribing with a scribing tool, we're going to be looking at doing an overlay, which will have an advantage of having super accurate scribing and details on there. So looking forward to that. I mentioned torpedoes in this, and this is an actual prototype of the functional torpedo that will be going in. So this is a 32nd scale weapon to scale with the World War II era torpedoes of the time. This is electric powered. It's powered by a lithium ion battery, and it's got a timer chip in it. I just want to show you how this works. It's this is a magnet, and in the torpedo tube there is a holder for it, and as you brush this magnet over the weapon, 5 seconds of runtime, exactly 5 seconds of runtime, and then it stops. And the cool thing is you can retrieve it, shove it back in the tube, and it's 100% ready to go once again. There's no recharging, there's no resetting. You stuff it back in the tube, head back out again, and you're ready to attack your next target. So I'm super excited about these. I need to dump this in the pool, and I'll have a video of that coming up hopefully this weekend. Well, maybe not this weekend because I got other stuff going on. I'll show you in a minute. But soon, at any rate. I'll pop this open and I'll just show you what the inside looks like. So you can see I got some brass rod in there, and that's actually for weight. This torpedo is exceptionally light to the point I needed to ballast it down. And the cool thing is you can see that that weight is on the bottom, so the torpedo won't spin like a lot of torpedoes, electric torpedoes do. So it should, in theory, offer a nice straight run, and it should not spin around. I got the timer module, got a little reed switch, and then got a little lithium polymer battery. So once these all get finalized, I get the prototypes operational in this boat, I'll be offering a kit for any of you with 32nd scale boats. After that's all done, and I will hopefully in my free time be looking at setting up a 48th scale torpedo system that's capacitor based, working on in conjunction with Dan Catcher up in Canada, my own old home stomping grounds, and we will have this out for you guys to play around with in 48th scale as well as 32nd scale eventually. Another cool thing that I've got going on right now, and this is the very first glimpse, so don't tell anyone what I've got going on. This is a new line of receivers that were specifically designed for our line of VEX radios, 6-channel radios. Now, the cool thing about this is that obviously it works exceptionally well with the VEX radios. It should also work with like other models as well, like Futaba radios. But here's the really cool thing. These are actually computerized receivers, and what it will offer you is the option to purchase an expansion board that looks kind of like this, and it'll allow you to run up to 10 channels from a 6-channel radio. So if you've got extra features like torpedo tube doors and sound, lights, periscopes, and all of that kind of thing, you'll be able to operate all of those and more from a standard 6-channel VEX radio, which are inexpensive to begin with. The receivers aren't exceptionally expensive either. They're in line with other offerings in the market. But keep that in mind. That will be out here probably in the next couple of weeks. I've got all of my stock here already, as you can see. I got over 50 of them here right now and another 50 sitting in the wings. I've just got to finish programming these. So that will be coming down here right away as well. There was a message, I'm going to get to that here right away. The trenchant kit, the 96 scale trenchant kits. Right now, I've been focusing on the other Small World model kits that were out. That was the Kilo class, the Blueback class. So those are out right now. The Kilo is actually ready to go. I don't know if I have that up on my site, but all of the molds are finished, so we can start casting up parts. So if you're interested in that Kilo kit, the Russian Kilo kit, that'll be available here very, very soon. It'll be coming in conjunction or a little bit before our 48th scale, actually 150th scale Disney Nautilus model kit that I've been promising for a long time. Last thing that I got going on is this mess. Now, if you guys have been following my channel, you know that I am a bit of a neat freak. This is driving me a little bit insane, but this is all of the inventory, stock, and actually a lot of that are rubber molds that I got from Scott Brodeen in California that are going to be going to my new shop. I pick up the moving truck tomorrow night. My family and I are going to be moving shops this weekend. So look for some pictures, look for some video of the new shop. Hopefully by the end of the weekend it'll be set up to the point where I can start shipping orders out of that location for you guys. So I'm super excited about that. I'm happy to get my second bedroom free because that's stuffed to the gills with inventory as well. Again, look for some pictures and a video up here fairly shortly. So I don't see a lot of questions coming through other than that one, unless I missed some. Let me scroll back up here. Nope, just a lot of hellos. So that's great. It's good to see you guys. Why don't we talk about batteries? I happen to have some batteries sitting out here, and I thought it would be an interesting topic to talk about. There's 3 different kinds of batteries that are typically used in RC submarines. The old school version is the sealed lead acid battery. It's an example here right now. The cool thing about these is that they're very inexpensive, they're robust, and they like to play in the water. They're perfectly fine being submerged in the water, provided you seal the contacts with like some RTV. Disadvantage is obviously size and weight. These are quite large, so you're not going to be stuffing this into like a 96 scale boat. However, for something like that big 96 scale boomer, and certainly for this big Type 21, these big sealed lead acid batteries are actually something that I want to put in there because I've got lots and lots of room and I need ballast. Might as well use batteries for that. The other one, which is a little bit more modern, is these nickel metal hydride batteries. I've had good luck waterproofing these by utilizing heat shrink, putting them around the outside, sealing the ends so you can run these quasi in the wet or obviously inside the cylinder. But you can see these are both 5,000 milliamp hour batteries. There's actually not a massive size differential between the two of them. Maybe a little bit of weight. I could probably weigh it, but a little bit easier to work with because you've got different configurations of batteries. You can have like the AA size, the C size, the D size batteries for those nickel metal hydrides. And the last one is lithium polymer. Obviously, a lot of you airplane guys will have used these quite a bit because they are exceptionally energy dense. These are nice and light. This is a 3200 milliamp hour battery, a 3.2 amp power pack, and really light, and it's easy to slip into cylinder. This is a Gado cylinder, and you can see fits well right in the end of that cylinder. So it's in the dry part of your cylinder. You don't need to worry about it. Lithium polymer batteries are a little bit trickier to maintain. They're trickier to charge. You need to be very cognizant of how you use them. You do not want to deep discharge them. You need to purchase the correct charger for it, a balanced charger, to make sure that all the cells are balanced. Whereas these other ones are pretty bulletproof, especially that sealed lead acid battery. You really can't kill those very easily. Will you make any more DSV 4600 subs? So he's talking about Sequest, one of my favorite shows from when I was a kid growing up in the 90s. Between you and me, yes, I am in the process of the master patterns remolded, and for that kit to be reintroduced here probably within the next 30 to 60 days. That will be coming back out, so I'm excited about it. I know a lot of people got really disappointed when that run came to an end. To be honest with you, that first run, I didn't make a penny on it. I barely broke even. Fortunately, the second batch, I've got a different molding service, casting service that I'm using. I got a little bit of opportunity to actually make some profit and keep going and doing what I'm doing. So we're going to bring it back, have another kick at that particular can. I also saw a question in there about, I think it was Virginia or Seawolf. Where to begin, and do I have a website? Yeah, as I said at the beginning of this video and at the beginning and end of every video that I put together, nautilusdrydocks.com is where you want to go. And I just so happen to have a very cool 1/72 scale Virginia model kit offered by a very talented individual out of Czech Republic. It is a really cool hybrid kit. It features 3D printed parts for all the detail pieces and then a PVC tube for the center cylindrical section. I have not had the opportunity to actually fully build that kit out. I just don't have the time, or have not yet had the time to do so, but I have looked at the LA class, the Virginia class, the Kilo class, and the Type 21 in person, and they are exceptionally well engineered pieces of kit. If you have the patience and willingness to sand out the striations that are a result of the 3D printing process, you're going to end up with a beautiful boat in a really nice scale at an economical price. So check that out, and if you're interested, by all means, let me know. Typically the turnaround on that is as quick as, you know, about 3 weeks or so once we get the freight and shipping talked about. There's another question in there. Do I sell torpedo launch systems and torpedoes? I don't know. You must have hopefully just jumped in because I talked about that already. I will be in 30-second scale only, perhaps within the next 30 to 60 days. So watch for that coming. That will, by the way, have two different launching mechanisms available. One will be a mechanical one that just pushes the torpedo out, fires up and goes away. The second one, which I'm going to be implementing in this, is in conjunction with Kevin McLeod's torpedo control module, and that allows for pneumatic launching, just like the real boats, burp of compressed air that fires the torpedoes out and launches them. So it utilizes a computer-controlled chip that fires off solenoid valves, releasing bursts of air to get that out. So that is going to be cool. There's going to be some really cool video of that coming out. Marty asked about the Typhoon class. Boy, everybody's late to the party. Yeah, the Typhoon 1/100th scale coming soon. The hull is basically all sanded. I just need to do final sand and prime, and then scribing, and then it'll be off for molds. So coming, keep your eyes open for it. All of you guys really need to remember, though, that in case you don't know already, this is not my full-time gig. This is not my full-time job. This is a hobby for me, and it has been since 1999. That's when I first got started in RC submarines, 1999. So it's going on like 19 or 20 years here right now. I've been playing around with these things. But like many hobbies, it is not very feasible to earn a living doing it, so I pluck away at it in my free time, typically between the hours of 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. In the morning, and on the weekends a little bit as I can. So if you don't see supermassive project progress on things that I'm building, it's because I am plucking away at it as I get the time. Comment in there about the lottery. Dude, hook me up with that ticket and I will make subs for everybody all day long. Am I in Canada? No, but I am Canadian. Born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta. Before I moved away, not knowing any better, moved to Victoria, British Columbia for about 6 years, and then 10 years ago down here to beautiful sunny Naples, Florida, which is where I now reside. All right. Can you make the project 673 Russian prototype? Man, anything is possible in today's day and age. It is all about time, and it is all about money. When you develop a new model kit from scratch, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of hours of labor. You know, it's not just construction time, it's research time to get the details correct. It's also a lot different when you're manufacturing a model for production than it is for a one-off model. So bear that in mind. It is a ton of work. It's not uncommon to have tens of thousands of dollars of investment in a new model kit. It takes a long time to recoup that investment. So the challenge is that this is a small hobby. You know, I've said it before, it is really a hobby for the elite. You know, this is not the RC boat guys, this is not the RC car guys, it's not even the RC plane guys. This is a whole new level of complication, of science, of engineering, precision, and artistry. So it is not for the untalented, it is not for the unmotivated, it is not for the impatient. But all that having been said, if this is something that you're interested in, there are a lot of ways to get into it. The one thing that I would really recommend is going with an easy to build kit first. You know, everybody wants the big Typhoon, you know, they want the 9-foot Type 21. Not recommended. You need to get your feet wet, so to speak, with an easy boat. And the two that I really recommend is the Blueback, the USS Blueback model. That comes with extensive instructions, pre-assembled stern section, and then you would be able to get that thing up and going exceptionally quickly. If you're into more World War II era, the boat that I've fallen in love with, I love it, is the Arc Model Type 7. That was designed a company out of China as an RC model. So all of your linkages and everything are already there. They're already set up. You've got nylon, durable nylon parts with exceptional detail, with all of your shafts already embedded in there, all of your bushings embedded in there. It's a great size and builds up really nicely. Certainly harder to complete from a cosmetic standpoint and much more difficult to trim out, but you know, if you're a fan of World War II, you can do that. Someone asked about the Hunley. You know, yeah, I started collecting a bunch of reference material on the Hunley. I think it's a really cool boat. I would love to do it. The challenge with it, you know, like a lot of those early submarines and fictional submarines, is that they don't work very well. You know, the Hunley had those center-mounted dive planes. It tended to porpoise around in practical applications, particularly when you start going quickly. So you have to make some concessions for control. What I really like are boats that not only look good, but function really well as well. One of my favorite boats of all time, as you guys probably know, is the Disney Nautilus. And for a fictional boat designed by Harper Goff, it works really well. Gentleman from Jacksonville, hey, you know, if you're ever down in my neck of the woods, by all means, let me know. Can have you over, take a look at subs, and hook you up with anything that you need. You know, and the same goes for anybody. I try to make myself available. If you want to come out here and visit face to face, I'll try and make time for you. I travel a lot for work. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Again, I've had that in my newsletters. By the way, if you I totally forgot what I was about to say because I was reading comments. There's about a lighting kit in there. I carry pre-wired LEDs, so if you're looking for an LED lighting kit for your models, let me know what you're after and I'll hook you up. Pre-wired with all the resistors, 6 to 12 volts, you know, ready to go. Just connect the wires and away you go. Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was talking about there. I'll figure it out as soon as I review the video. My favorite build. Gosh, my favorite build. You know, I would say it was probably that big German Type 7 that I did. It came in 3 sections, had operational torpedoes, lights, it had sound system. That was for a gentleman up in Washington State there. Actually, I think it was by Port Alberni. That was a beautiful boat. I really liked it. But some of my most memorable, the very first static build I ever did was another OTW Type 7 with the extended winter garden. That was a really cool build. I'm still friends with the gentleman, Rick London, who owns that here in Naples, and we hang out together all the time. It sits up in his study. He's a World War II submarine collector. He's got all sorts of memorabilia in that room, including that gigantic model. There was a question in there, have I ever built a dry hull submarine? Yes, I have. I've built many angle boats with dry hull. They are great for certain applications. All right. I much prefer watertight cylinders. This boat here was originally designed by the gentleman that built the kit in Germany to be a dry hull submarine. Now, I want you to think about this. Imagine that whole thing is hollow, all right? It's about the size of a canoe. How much weight would you need to put in it to sink it? We're talking hundreds of pounds. So if this was a dry hull boat, it would weigh probably 200 pounds easily. That is very heavy and cumbersome and prone to damage and hard to transport and hard to store. You're sealing a tremendous surface area when you've got those big doors, those big hatches on the top. All of that perimeter needs to get sealed, and it needs to seal perfectly. With a cylinder, you're sealing a circular, circumference on a small surface area. It's much, much easier to control, and it's much higher in the likelihood that you'll be able to maintain a good seal on those cylinders. And again, the other good thing is you're not adding a ton of buoyancy that you need to offset with ballast. I'm guessing that this boat will probably end up weighing somewhere around 40 to 45 pounds versus the 200 some odd pounds that it would have done before. I see a question in there, tutorials about various forms of electronics. Search my channels, particularly the subdriver setup video. I go into setup of the pitch controller, setup of the battery link monitor, failsafe. If any of you guys have any requests, email me, bob@rc-sub.com or sales@nautilusdrydocks.com, or send me a message from my website. That's even easier. nautilusdrydocks.com, send me a message, it comes straight to me. And if you have a suggestion about a video that you want to see, let me know. I will do the best that I can to get that put together for you. All right. Let's see here. Oh, we got lots of questions. Have I used a different kind of power besides electric? No. Not sure what you're thinking, like rubber band powered, pedal powered. I know you're probably thinking gas powered, but no, I am not that insane. That's a lot of engineering that I would prefer not to have to go through. While it would be cool, maybe even for something of this size, it's just so much work for so little reward. Not interested in doing that. So yes, I go all electric. Will I ever sell a large-scale Gado? Possible, if somebody brings one out and they want to allow me to sell it for them. I don't think I am going to ever get into the process of building one to offer for sale. Quite honestly, and I'm going to get some hate for this, I think the Gado is an ugly boat compared to the German Type 7s or the Type 9s. Or especially the British like S and T class boats. The Gado just looked ungainly. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you are going to hate me for that, but not my favorite boat. I mean, if someone wants me to build them one, I will do it, but not my favorite boat. Do I keep any builds? How big is my collection and where do I display them? I have exactly 0 operational boats of my own right now. I've got 3 in a state of close completion. I have got a 72nd scale Foxtrot, which is awesome. Beautiful boat. And then the other one that I have got is 72nd scale Kilo. And I have also got a 32nd scale Disney Nautilus, which cool story about that, and I may have told you this before. I actually built it for a customer about 5 or 6 years ago. And then some students from a university got a hold of me and said, hey, we got this sub in a closet here. Our prof said we can use it for building like an ROV for a project. Can you tell me about it? And they sent pictures, and I'm like, I built that boat. Don't destroy it. That kit's out of production. It's super limited edition. Send it back to me. So I did a horse trade. I got it back. The original build that I did for this guy like 5 years ago, he had never run it once. Never once. It was still in the original box. How do you like that? Let's see here. Based on, oh, let's see, we're going to go back here a little bit. I have a 3D printer and a router and can work with CAD. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. You know, all of these CNC controlled building tools like 3D printers, 3D routers, I am a huge advocate. And you're going to get a lot of people who hate on us for leveraging technology like that. We're not true craftsmen anymore. I can see where that handcrafted aspect comes in and where people want to see that, but the advantages in terms of speed and precision that these new tools are offering people in this hobby are enormous. So if you've got those tools, a CNC router, look at routing a master pattern out of foam, and then you can use that lost foam method that I did a blog article on. Check my blog section of my website to make a fiberglass shell out of it. How do I like my F-type? I love my F-type, but it's not my boat according to my wife. It's her car, so I am allowed every once in a while to drive it, just so you know. Let's see here. CAD file of the Battleship Texas. Can't help you, dude. Wrong hobby. Let's see here. My favorite sub. I think I went into that a little bit earlier on. The new Lada scale ships. So, cool story about that. So Vladimir and I have been going back and forth, and I'm actually bringing in some parts from him, including, this is interesting, the conversion kit that he put together for the Astute model kit by Trumpeter. So this is a 1/144th scale model kit, plastic model kit. Vladimir came out with a conversion kit. I will be carrying those. I got one on the way here to do an evaluation. I'm going to do a review video. You guys can take a look at it and see what that looks like. I've also got the conversion kit for the USS Seawolf kit, Trumpeter Seawolf coming. We'll take a look at that, as well as one of his ballast tanks, his air pump ballast tanks. I thought I'd want to check that out. But the Lada kit looks absolutely gorgeous. So for those of you that don't know, the Lada, if I'm not mistaken, is basically the replacement of the export submarine that the Kilo used to be. So that is going to be a really great kit that Vladimir has come out with. And I've got one of those coming as well. I'll be doing a review on that when it shows up as well. It's on order. He's building it right now. It'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks before it gets here. So as soon as it shows up, look for the video. Glue. I went into glue in one of my earlier videos. This is like my little glue area. This is my go-to glue, Gorilla Glue gel. This stuff is basically rubber reinforced, so it's got a little bit of flex to it. It's not as brittle as traditional CA glues. You can hit it with accelerator and it will kick off immediately, rock hard. Gap fill, it's super awesome stuff. I love it. I also utilize a lot of epoxy, 2-part epoxies. You're going to want that for more structural bonding of hull pieces together, or also like bulkheads on the inside. Cool thing about epoxy, you can also thicken it with micro balloons. It can make like a paste, so that could become like a gap filler as well. And I use also another Gorilla, clear Gorilla Glue. It's kind of a thick, creamy, clear adhesive that works really, really well. So I'm a big fan of those products. For filler, by the way, again, in case you want to know, I think it's called Phage. Let me check. Whoo! Rage filler. sands really nice without clogging. Makes actually a really good adhesive as well. And then you also looking at Nitrostan glazing putty. That's what's smeared on the side of the 21 back here, that red stuff. So that's like scratch fillers and small detail filling and that kind of stuff. So those are my recommendations for that. Hey, you know, before I forget, I've been working with a gentleman by the name of Frank in Hawaii, and he's working with me to bring a kit of Jules Verne's Nautilus from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea into fruition. So this is a 3D printed model that I printed here at home on my home 3D printer, which is definitely not commercial grade, but worked well enough for that application. That's a prototype, basically just for test fitting. I'm going to do some final tweaking, print out the parts, send it for molding. We'll be making kit. And the cool thing is not only are you going to get a kit, but Frank, when he designed all of those files in 3D, has a full interior and a book that you're going to get with the kit of the entire model, front to back, inside and out. So watch for that coming in the next few months as well. Corrosion X, good question about that. You know, I looked into that. I have not used it. I've not tried it, so I can't comment on it too much. In my mind, the idea that you can, for example, spray that stuff on a servo and call it waterproof sounds too good to be true. Usually when that happens, that is the case. So, you know, if you want to spray your circuit boards down and your water tight stone there in case it gets wet in there, be my guest, get everything greasy, go to town. I've seen videos on that Corrosion X to make a servo waterproof. You cut into it, you fill it up with the oil, you seal it up. I don't know why you would pay massive bucks for Corrosion X when you could use something like baby oil, get the same effect. Maybe it could be wrong, but you know, I wish I could tell you more. I haven't played around with it, haven't needed to up to this point. Is the Type 21 the biggest sub you plan on doing, or would you go bigger? Boy, you know, I'm running out of room in my shop. I mean, I suppose I could go bigger. I do own a bigger one. It is an 11-foot long Disney Nautilus. That's got about like a 16-inch beam. I will be setting that up though as a display model. That's my retirement gift to myself. It'll have a full interior I'm going to do in my retirement days where I can go nuts picking out all the details and making all the hallways connect to them, each other. Yeah, 11 feet long, so that will be fun. Can you make an I-400? You know, again, I like the Japanese boats. You know, a cool story, one of the first sub kits that I ever got was a scale shipyard B-class Japanese submarine. So that's similar to the I-400, but it only carried a single float plane in the hangar. And a cool story about this, I will regale you with tales about this. The story goes that the reason Canada got brought into the war was because of the fact that a Japanese sub surfaced off of the coast of British Columbia and shelled a lighthouse at Estevan Point. So that was right where I was living in British Columbia there. So there I had a certain connection to that. And the really cool thing is there's a bit of a conspiracy theory that the Canadian government and the US government got together and they wanted to enter the war, but they couldn't get the people on board. And so it was actually an American sub that surfaced disguised as a Japanese submarine that shelled the lighthouse. And this is feasible because the people that shelled the lighthouse missed it every time, even though they shot dozens of times. They could not hit the broadside of a barn, apparently, and the story goes that they did it missing intentionally so they didn't hurt anybody, but they got everybody up in arms and said, we better join the war because they're shelling our country. So look into it. That's kind of a cool story about the Japanese. But the I-400, that's a bigger version of the B-class with, I can't remember if it was 2 or 4 float plane capacity. I've never built a model of it. I would love to, you know, maybe do something in like 96 scale, be pretty big. I would love to, have not done it, have no plans to do it, but You never know. 70-second, do they perform well on the pond or bounce around? Well, it depends on what submarine it is, because the size of your boat is a function of the original size of the boat and the scale that it is rendered in. So you can get some pretty massive 70-second scale boats out there, and you can also get some very small ones. I am a big sub person myself. If you have the room, they are easier to work on. They behave more realistically. They just look better on and under the water. Again, the biggest thing though is they're so much easier to work on. You know, this is about as small as I like to go. These are like mini servos, and you got, you know, a 2.5-inch diameter cylinder in there that you're working with. I love the 3.5-inch cylinders, the 4.25-inch cylinders. I mean, this is the watertight cylinder rack that I built for the Type 21, which I'm actually not going to end up using. But yeah, 5-inch diameter watertight cylinder. Like, look at all the room that you got in there to build things, to mount things, to make things work. Having said all that, 70-second scale boats, you know, even the Revell Type 7, they behave quite well. I would not take it out on like a lake where you're going to get a lot of chop, but certainly for swimming pools or ponds on calm days, they're going to be perfectly fine. So again, don't focus on the scale, focus on the boat and the overall size of the model. One cool thing that a friend of mine does that I kind of wish that I did back in the day was he just settled on 48 scale. He said, all my boats are going to be 48 scale, and that's just what I'm going to build. It's kind of nice, smaller than 30-second scale, but not so small as, you know, like the 70-second scale boats. So you might want to think about doing that too, and it'll help zero you in on you know, things that interest you. But just keep that in mind as a filter. Have I built Astute class? No, I have built Trenchant class. I have built Vanguard class, but I have not built Astute class. But as I said earlier, and I think a lot of people are coming in and out, the Trumpeter Astute kit. So I'm going to have a conversion kit for that. So that's 1/144th scale. It is 673 millimeters long, 67 centimeters, 0.6 meters. So what is that, like a little over 2 feet long, something like that for you guys still stuck in the days of imperial measurement system, fighting the metric system, you crazy people. So if you're after an Astute, that would probably be your best bet. But if you like the British boats, again, I've got a Vanguard in stock that I'd be willing to cut you a pretty good deal on. And I've always got access to the Vanguard from OTW, which is a beautiful size boat. It's about the same beam as that Ohio that I showed you a little bit earlier, but it's a little shorter. Beautiful pump jet on the back of those, machined pump jet. Well, everyone, I can't see many more comments coming through, even though there's like 26 of you still around here. Oh, favorite sub movie. I can answer a couple more questions, and then I'm going to need to get going. Favorite submarine movie, Das Boot. It's Das Boot, it has to be. That is an epic film. They're coming out with Killer, the new one with Gerard Butler. If you do all of the cinematic crap that the director came up with the submarine, like going inches away from rock walls on the bottom. The story is actually really, really cool. You might want to check that out. Hunt for Red October is probably my second favorite submarine movie. Absolutely love that one. The Russian Typhoon is my second favorite sub of all time, by the way, which is why I'm doing that one. Did it originally because I wanted a boat for mine, for my own, I should say. All right. I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds to come up with any more questions, and then I am going to need to sign off. Das Boot series at the end of November. Right on. Like a TV series? We'll keep our eyes out for it. Unfortunately, I don't get to watch a lot of TV because I spend all my time working, either at work or here in the shop. So that is the way it works. All right, guys. Awesome. I love that you guys all came out to join me on this Thursday evening. It feels like Thursdays are a good time for everyone. Maybe I'll stick to that. I'll be doing it again next month. Check the homepage of my website for the next live YouTube date. And send me questions in advance and I can research them for you. I can set up props so I can talk to whatever it is that you are looking for. Thank you, everyone. Again, this is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the NautilusDryDocks.com. Thanks for joining me. We will catch you next time.